Assalamu alaikum guys. I hope you're well whenever you're watching this. So I wanted to solve another paper apart from the ones that we've done in class so that you guys have, um, ample material to work with. So we'll go through the format to start with, and then we'll be moving towards the explicit meaning questions and then the entire paper. Your code is 1123, but to solve for practice, you can look towards 0500 or 0900 as well. We're starting off with paper 1, which is a reading paper. Total marks for this paper are 50. Total time for this paper is 2 hours. Question 1, 16 marks, total of 16 marks. These are your explicit meaning questions involving in your own word questions. So these are the codes that you can use to solve these, to find these. Today we'll be using a 0500 paper, and we'll be solving its explicit meaning questions. So you can also use direct synonym in context method or paraphrasing the sentence in context method to answer the in your own word question within the explicit meaning question. This will be clearer once we go towards the paper. So then comes your question number 2, which is implicit meaning questions for 9 marks. And then there's section B, text B for 25 marks. Question number 3, part A is summary of text B for 20 marks. And then part B is the perspective question for 5 marks. That being said, let's start off with the explicit meaning questions. Now, if you guys remember, the key with explicit meaning questions is, or for the questions at large in this paper, is to first read the questions and then go towards the insert. Because what that does is it kind of gives you an idea of what the insert is going to be about, and you already know what they're going to ask, right? So read text A, kayaking in the insert, and then answer questions 1A to E on this question paper. Question 1, part A, what piece of equipment is used to move a kayak through the water according to the text? Now remember, your explicit meaning questions are questions that are straightforward, that are obvious. So the only thing you need to be doing to get these questions right, to safeguard those 16 marks, is to simply read the insert carefully and read the questions carefully, right? The only mistake you can make here is either misinterpret the text or misinterpret the question somehow. Right, so they don't expect you to come with a knowledge of kayaking. The only way you're going to find the answer is by reading the text. So part B is using your own words, explain what the text means by buoyant vessel from line 2. Pragmatic way, line 6. And this is the using your own word question, right? Now, the way that you answer this is by first, obviously, reading the phrase the way that it has been used in the insert. If you know what buoyant means, and if you also know what vessel means, you should not directly be writing the answer. And you should first go to the text, read the sentence in which this phrase has been used, and then come back and try to answer this. The same goes for pragmatic way. I will elaborate on this once we solve this further. So reread paragraph 3, nowadays, ... waters. Give 2 examples of open water that can be explored in a kayak according to the text. And this is for 2 marks. Reread paragraphs 4 and 5, kayaking can be ... toy. So they've made it really, really easy for you. They've even given you the paragraphs from where you have to pick out the response. I don't think it could be any easier than this. Identify 2 reasons why combining kayaking with other outdoor activities might appeal to some people. So 2 reasons, 1 here, 2 marks. It's always a good idea to read the number of marks per question as well, because that gives you an idea of how many points you have to write. Although in this case, it's already been established in the question itself. Part 2 is explain. So wherever there's explain, even though this is explicit meaning questions, it does incorporate it does ask you to incorporate some kind of implicitness, right? So when they say explain why sit on top kayaks may not be suitable for some paddlers according to the text, they're asking you to elaborate on it as well, right? That is the meaning of explain, that you need to, further explain it. And then it's for 3 marks. So you need to be picking out 3 points for why sit on top kayaks may not be suitable for some paddlers according to the text. Wherever you see the word explain in explicit meaning questions, just remember it will require you to do a little more thinking, a little more digging. And it's a really good idea to also have this in your own words as opposed to the words of the text. Reread paragraph 6, sleek and noiseless, another. Using your own words, explain why some people might think that kayaking is better for the environment than other forms of water-based transport. So, here they've clearly established using your own words. So please use your own words and explain why some people might think that kayaking is better for the environment than other forms of water-based transport. And this is for 3 marks. So that is your explicit meaning questions, right? Now that we've read them, let's go to the insert. There's also a method to read the insert. So it's completely up to you guys according to your level of comprehension and how speedily you can read an insert. But it's a really good idea to make small notes alongside each paragraph, briefly explaining to yourself what the paragraph is about, right? It also saves you time when you look at your explicit meaning questions and come back to look for the answer, right? Um, and then on top of that, it just explains to you very clearly what the paragraph is about if you take a pause and write a small summary of that paragraph, right? This doesn't even have to be a summary. It just has to be a word or two or a phrase explaining what's going on in the paragraph, right? Or if you're somebody who's a quick reader who's um, really good at analyzing and comprehending text, you can just, once you've read the entire insert, take a moment and reiterate to yourself what you just read. What was the entire insert about? So kayaking is a fun activity that involves moving through water using a double-bladed paddle in a small buoyant vessel, a kayak. The paddler sits face forward in a cockpit with the legs extended beneath a closed deck, propelling ahead with alternating side-to-side paddle strokes. The kayak has been around for centuries. It was first used by people living in the Arctic regions for navigating waterways. It offered a pragmatic way to hunt fish and transport passengers across water. Nowadays, kayaking is also a great activity for enthusiasts of all levels. One reason for its popularity, it can be a wonderful way to discover quiet, shallow waters at the edge of a lake, or an exciting high-energy sport racing along fast-moving rivers and rapids. Open to everyone, basic kayaking requires no previous experience other than a passion for exploring open waters. Kayaking can be combined with other outdoor activities like camping and fishing, adding another layer of challenge to your trip. If you plan on ski touring or rock climbing in areas that require water travel, a kayak can be an excellent tool for accessing the remote beauty of regions. Kayaks come in two basic styles, sit on top and sit inside. Sit on tops are increasingly popular as they're the most stable, easy to get into and out of. So a great choice for new or nervous paddlers, for warm environments, and for paddling with kids who love to swim. Sit inside shelter your lower body from the wind, which makes them much warmer. They're great for paddlers in cooler water who want to stay dry while paddling and who consider the kayak more a vehicle for travel than a toy. Sleek and noiseless kayaks have few limits, though high traffic waterways are best avoided to prevent accidents. Faster vessels emitting pollutants can seriously harm populations of water dwelling species who cannot move quickly enough to avoid a speedy oncoming boat. Kayaking is an environmentally friendly alternative to boating. Responsible kayakers always drain their boat before leaving a paddle site to avoid transporting water, which may contain some form of living creature or plant material from one watercourse to another. All right. So if I was to summarize the text, which is something I would recommend you all do once you've read the entire insert, um, I would say that it's about this. It's both about kayak, the vehicle kayak, and it's about kayaking, which is a sport, right? And when it talks about kayaks and kayaking, it discusses their functions and the styles of kayaks that are available. So sit inside, sit on top, etc. All right. Now that we've read the insert, we can go and answer our questions. What piece of equipment is used to move a kayak through the water according to the text? And this is for 1 mark. This is going to be a very straightforward answer. You just need to pick it out from the text and put it here. And that should get you your mark. Right. So in this question, they haven't really given you a paragraph. So this question is from paragraph this. So we can assume that it's in one of the earlier paragraphs. It's very rare that a question is in the beginning and its answer is going to be in the middle or in the end. It's usually going to be in the beginning, right? So what piece of equipment is used to move a kayak to the water according to the text? It's a double-bladed paddle, right? So kayaking is a fun activity that involves moving through water using a double-bladed paddle in a small buoyant vessel, a kayak. And it's a double-bladed paddle. Using your own words, explain what the text means by buoyant vessel, line 2. Kayaking is a fun activity that involves moving through water using a double-bladed paddle in a small buoyant vessel, a kayak. So as far as I remember, buoyant has something to do with, I think I remember the word buoyancy. It has something to do with being upbeat. But here, I think it means movement. Um, and vessel could mean transport or vehicle, right? Vehicle could be direct synonym for vessel. Okay, so the way that you solve this question, by the way, is first of all, you do what I'm doing. You go to the insert, you find the line, you read the line. If you don't know the meaning of the word, you try to find it in context. Then there are two methods of doing it. Either you go with finding the direct synonym of each word, so direct synonym of buoyant, exact synonym of buoyant, and exact synonym of vessel. In context is also very important. So, for example, if the word was um, if you if you know the meaning of buoyant and vessel, you're not just going to directly write it here. You will first see how it has been utilized in the text because a word can have several meanings. One word can be used in different contexts. So you have to make sure that the synonym that you're writing or the paraphrasing you're doing is in context to the insert. Everything you're doing has to be in context, right? All right. So for vessel, we can go with vehicle. I'm honestly not too sure about buoyant. I will go with, for now, moving, propelling. It won't be upbeat vehicle, so I think I'll go with moving. Let's check this from the mark scheme. All right, so this answer was correct. Moving through the water using a double-bladed paddle, right? And then, all right, so the word that they've for buoyancy, they've written floats or does not sink easily or stays on top of water. So I don't think they would have given me a full mark for moving. They might have given me a 0.5, right? For vehicle, for vessel, boat could have been written, form of transport could have been written, vehicle could have been written, so vehicle is fine. Something to carry, humans. Any of these would have worked. But also if you had paraphrased, so instead of writing one word, you had explained the entire phrase in your own words. Because what happens sometimes is you don't know the exact synonym word and you paraphrase the entire thing. If you do that, you also get marks. That's not a problem either. So I would probably get a 1.5 for my answer, which was a moving vehicle, right? Okay, let's move on to the next one. Pragmatic way, line 6. Now, I do know the meaning of pragmatic. So again, I'm giving you guys an example. Pragmatic can sometimes mean wise. It can also mean, within rationale, strategic. But we have to go back to the text, see how it's been used there, then find the most fitting synonym in context and write that. Same for way. This is line 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. It offered a pragmatic way to hunt, fish, and transport passengers across water. What offered a pragmatic way? The kayak has been around for centuries. It was first used by people living in the Arctic regions for navigating waterways. It offered a pragmatic way. So for way, it could be method. So see, way could generally also mean path, but here it doesn't mean path, right? It's not a path to hunt, fish, and transport. It's more like a method, right? Or a strategy, a pragmatic way, a suitable way, a pertinent way, appropriate way. So let's go with suitable or appropriate method, and let's check it from the marks. Right, so both appropriate and suitable could have been synonyms for pragmatic, and method was correct for way, right? So method, approach, option, manner. But again, like I told you guys, the synonym has to be in context. Now, way generally, like I said before, could also mean path, but here we don't see path because path just doesn't make sense in this context. So be careful about what you're writing. All right, we read paragraph 3. Nowadays, waters. Give the two examples of open water that can be explored in a kayak according to the text. All right, so in a question like this, you first need to be very clear on what they mean by open water, right? Two examples, so two, so one here, of open water that can be explored in a kayak according to the text. So pretty much everything is from the text, nothing is from you. They didn't need to write that, but they did. So what they mean by open waters, if this room's were in class, I would probably ask you guys, but open water, they mean water that's not stored. So for example, in a dam or in a cooler or something of that sort. It's water that's open, right? Like the ocean, like the sea. That's open water. It's not bound by anything. All right. This is from paragraph 3. Two examples of open water that can be explored in a kayak. Nowadays, kayaking is also a great activity for enthusiasts of all levels. One reason for its popularity, it can be a wonderful way to discover quiet, shallow waters at the edge of a lake, or an exciting high-energy sport racing along fast-moving rivers and rapids. Open to everyone, basic kayaking requires no previous experience other than a passion for exploring open waters. So the open waters are the shallow waters of a lake, right? Or the fast-moving rivers and rapids. Those are your open waters. Let's check it from the mark scheme. Right, so shallow waters at the edge of a lake or the fast-moving rivers and rapids. Identify two reasons why combining kayaking with other outdoor activities might appeal to some people. So this is from paragraph 4 and 5. Two reasons why combining kayaking with other outdoor activities might appeal to some people. So this is going to be from these two paragraphs. Kayaking can be combined with other outdoor activities like camping. And by the way, when they have a question like this, where it's D part I and 2, and then they have paragraphs 4 and 5, this is a trick that will help you kind of, hack some time in this paper. It's usually from, the first part is usually from paragraph 4. The next part is usually from paragraph 5, usually being the keyword, all right? So for part I, you can always look in paragraph 4 first. And then for 2, you can always look for in paragraph 5 first. If you plan on ski touring or rock climbing in areas that require water travel, a kayak can be an excellent tool for accessing the remote beauty of a region. Okay, so first of all, they add another layer of challenge to your trip if kayaking is combined with outdoor activities. And secondly, It can help you access the remote beauty of a region. So these could be the two reasons why combining kayaking with other outdoor activities might appeal to some people. So this is from here. Additional challenge, access remote areas of beauty. Perfect. All right. Explain why sit on top kayaks may not be suitable for some paddlers according to the text. Now remember, this is a 3-mark question, so we need to write accordingly. Usually 3-mark questions imply that you have to have 3 pointers in your answer. So, and then there's a word explain as well. So try to have it in your own words if possible. It's recommended. All right. So we can assume now that this is going to be from paragraph 5. Kayaks come in 2 basic styles, sit on top and sit inside. Sit on tops are increasingly popular as they're the most stable, easy to get in and out of, so a great choice for new or nervous paddlers, for warm environments, and for paddling with kids who love to swim. Sit inside, shelter your lower body from the wind, which make them much warmer. They're great for paddlers in cooler water who want to stay dry while paddling. Kayak more a vehicle for travel than a toy. Please read the question again. Explain why sit on top kayaks may not be suitable for some paddlers according to the text. Now, if you we look at the text, it doesn't really talk about why sit on top kayaks are problematic or they're not suitable for certain people. It just talks about, you know, the people it is appropriate for. So what you guys have to do is that notice the other type. The other type exists because there was something lacking in sit on tops. There were certain things, certain kinds of people it was not appropriate for, which is why sit inside shelters were created, right? So sit on tops is not going to be suitable for people, for some paddlers, because it does not shelter your lower body from the wind. It will probably make you wet. You will not be staying dry while paddling if it's a sit on top kayak, right? And it will definitely not be appropriate for those who consider it a toy or don't take it seriously, right? Because they might drown if that's what they think the kayak is, right? So those will the reasons that sit inside shelters are preferred are going to be the reasons that sit on top kayaks are not preferred. So let me just check this from the mark scheme again. Right, so there's no shelter from the wind, you're more likely to get wet, and it's more a toy than a vehicle, more suitable for a child. All right, so I think the last one I phrased it a bit inappropriately. Well, not pertinently. They're great for paddlers in cooler water, want to stay dry while paddling. So that one we did. That sit on top kayaks will make you wet. But the third pointer was to be that they're only suitable for kids or those who consider it a toy. Right? It's more a toy than a vehicle. More suitable for a child. Right, so more serious paddlers would then want to shift to sit inside kayaks. Right, so a question like this, wherever there's explain in an implicit meaning question, they are going to confuse you a little bit. You have to do a little bit of digging in to find the response. Part E, reread paragraph 6, sleek and noiseless, ... another. Using your own words, explain why some people might think that kayaking is better for the environment than other forms of water-based transport. So again, here they've quite explicitly asked you to use your own words and explain why some people might think that kayaking is better for the environment than other forms of water-based sport. Again, there are 3 marks for this, and it's from paragraph 6. Sleek and noiseless kayaks have few limits. Though high traffic waterways are best avoided to prevent accidents, faster vessels emitting pollutants can seriously harm populations of water dwelling species who cannot move quickly enough to avoid a speedy oncoming boat. Kayaking is an environmentally friendly alternative to boating. Responsible kayakers always drain their boat before leaving a paddle site to avoid transporting water, which may contain some form of living creature or plant material from one water course to another. All right, so why is kayaking more environmentally friendly than other water sports? Because faster vessels emit pollutants, kayaks do not emit pollutants. Hence, they do not harm populations of water-dwelling species who cannot move quickly, right, enough to avoid a speedy oncoming boat. And then, responsible kayakers always drain their boat before leaving a paddle site to avoid transporting water, which may contain some form of living creature or plant material from one water course to another. And now you will write these in your own words. So we identified the 3 points. The first one would be that they do not emit pollutants into the water. Hence, they do not hurt the creatures residing in the water who cannot escape speedy vehicles. Kayakers always drain their vehicles before departing from a paddle site to prevent the transportation of any water that contains a dangerous creature, that contains a creature or plant material. That should be it. And let's take a look at the mark scheme as well. Does not pollute the water, does not pump out gases, does not burn fuel, silent, no traffic or noise. Okay, so I was just mainly thinking about the water pollution, but there were other kinds that we could have also considered. Animals have time to get out of the way, so this one we wrote. Some kayakers are responsible, allow users to remove water to protect marine species. And this one we also wrote, does not pollute the water, right? Does not pump out gases, does not burn fuel, so emitting pollutants, well up point. Silent, no traffic noise. This one was the one that we missed, right? So I wasn't really considering air pollution or noise pollution. You guys can write that as well. Noiseless kayaks, right? All right, and writing those 3 and in your own words should get you your marks, right? So I don't think that this was for 16 marks, but in the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. This was for 15 marks. You guys are going to get a 16-mark explicit meaning question in your 1123 paper, but you can nonetheless use the 0500 code to do your explicit questions practice from. And that will be all for the explicit meaning questions.